Jai Shri Krishna. So, some of you will remember, continuing from the last time, welcome to Gita Yoga. No rules, just love is our only rule. So there is no expectation, there is no judgment, there is obviously no cost, there is also no obligation, there is nothing, just you and the Gita. Come when you will, leave when you have to, come and join, come, no come, join, no join. So we have a WhatsApp group. There's 3-4 WhatsApp groups of about 150 to 200 each. So Sanjibai, Purvi Ben, they all have the link. Feel free to join, leave when you can. It's one of the most unencumbered way of engaging in the Gita. Where there's just be yourself, very passive way of engaging with it. So give it a shot, give it a try if you'd like to. So we started, believe it or not, 10 years ago, guys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dashara in Gainesville, so coming up 10 years ago, and my inspiration is sitting right there. Madhvi was the one who had inspired me originally to start this, because we used to do this at home with family, and she said, why don't you bring it out of the home? And so it took us 10 years to get to chapter 18. You can imagine the Belgadi and the slow speed and partly this is because no rules. Yeah, it's our forum. We do one shlok, we do 2 shloks, whatever. Fun is in the center. If we can't have fun, then we don't want to have this, right? If the good Lord, right in the middle of the battlefield, the conchs are right, blowing all that. If he can find the time to speak the Gita when just people are ready to slit each other's necks, and then I think that's a sanket that everything in its time, no need to rush through this for sure. And so as we were about to start chapter 18, Moksha Sannyas Yoga, last time I think we'd said that before just jumping right into the 18th, let's sort of summarize up to 17, and then we'd talk through, you all remember, right? 6, and 6, in which the first 6 is the triage mode of a bleeding, about to die sort of patient. Arjuna was bleeding, is in a manner of speaking. The second set of 6 chapters from 7 through 12 was about the treatment itself. And some of us have gone through, and as you listen to more of the Gita, you'll realize the context of it. And that's when we'd stopped, and we said we will pick up at chapter 13, summarizing quickly today, which is then, okay, here's your discharge, but now watch out. As you leave the hospital, do's and don'ts. Don't trip again, look for the banana peel and all those kinds of things, right? Hold on to the railing in the tub, all those. So that's chapter 13 through 18. And 18 is Moksha Sannyasa, which is basically signs off on the discharge. Yathechasi tatha kuru. One of the last verses of the Lord in the Gita is, do whatever you want. Literally translates into that. I have told you everything that there is to know, that you need to know to live a fulfilling life, right? Again, key word, fulfilled, not half-filled. Fulfilled life, everything that you need to know, it's been presented to you, but suit yourself. Yatha ichha asi tatha kuru. Whatever your desire is, go from here on. And because prior to that he had said, nimitta matra bhavasavya sachin, that with you or without you, I have come here to protect in the integrity. Just because you don't fight doesn't mean that dharma is going to turn into adharma or anything like that. But here's an opportunity for you to participate in it and be on the side of the protectors of integrity. So, and then another way of looking at these 18 chapters, I think some of you have heard before, in addition to the triage treatment and then sort of the discharge or follow-up or rehab mode is, if you ask, who am I? Not normally in Vedanta, the classic question, this beginning, Athato Brahma Jigyasa, is the first sentence in the one of the biggest treatises in Vedanta called Brahma Sutra, Ved Vyas had compiled, right? And the very first verse in the first Adhyay, it's Athato Brahma Jigyasa, here begins the inquiry into Brahma. What is Brahma? So what's suggested there is, who am I? Inquire into मैं कौन हूँ, who am I? And obviously when once that question is answered, like who is God and how am I related to God and what else? And so the Gita very succinctly presents that also in Brahma Sutra Padaschaiva. That actually appears in the Gita, right? Like that he said that, well, what was described very poetically and elaborately in the Brahma Sutras, अभी टाइम नहीं वो धनुष लेके खड़े जल्दी जल्दी बताता हो तेरे को, फटाफट उसने बता दिया गीता में, ब्रह्म सूत्र में जो बता दो. And so who am I? Jeev, Atma, soul, right? We all have heard that we are that, not the body, not the mind, not the intellect and all that. It's about experiencing it, not just hearing it or reading it, right? The whole of sadhana is so at the end we experience it. We get to feel it that, yeah, I am too. Not just the person sitting on the dais and the 80,000 people sitting in front of him or her. Not just that one Mahatma is the Atma, Maha-Atma, but I am too. Because in the Gita he said every one of them, Mama eva ansho jiva luke jiva bhuta sanatan. Every one of us is that also. Just like every drop in the ocean is just same composition. Every dream character is in the same dreamer when you're dreaming, like that. So there is the Jeev, and then there is the Paramatma, Jivatma, Paramatma, right? The little guy, us, and the big guy up there or wherever, somewhere, and we now know where he is. And then everything in between, Prakriti jise kehte hain, na? Nature, the system, whatever, cosmos. So again, very, very clear, the Jeev, Paramatma, Bhagwan, और बीच में जो सब कुछ है, संसार. If it's me and my God, and then everything else in between, that's like the third. And so the Gita delineates that into the first 6 chapters, or what we call triage. It's very pointedly, with a sharp focus, describes who am I, the Atma, and how do you experience that in the 6th chapter, right? Dhyan Yoga. Very much the gravitational mass of the first section of the Gita, the first 6 chapters, is in describing in detail the Atma. 7 through the 12, you pretty much read, and it's loaded right off the bat until the very end with who is Paramatma, where he's talking about himself, right? God. It's like, and then 13 onwards, which we will take up today, is about everything else in between, Prakriti, nature, the gunas, and what happens and why, and all that. So बाकी सब कचरा पट्टी है ना, उसका क्या करना है, how do you deal with it, do you even deal with it, all of that. So a couple of ways of looking at the Gita, because it's often Gita is blamed as, oh, it's very difficult, बहुत समझती नहीं है, कठिन है, ये वो. And I found it to be the contrary of it. In fact, after reading so many scriptures of different kinds, I found nothing like the Gita. The efficiency of it, the beauty, the glory, the poetry in it, and the power, and the truth, and the lucid, the clarity in it. And there is a reason for that. What the writer of Mahabharata and Ramayana and all those said that, well, yeah, no wonder, because this is the only one that has come directly from him. Bhagavad Gita, Baki Santone, Guruni, Sabka, this is the one who directly came out of his mouth, Anayas. So no wonder then, right? And so if you have an open mind, the only prerequisite, brothers, for these reflections, as we call them, is an open mind. Because if you have an open mind, then maybe it's possible. But if the mind is already closed, then it's not possible. And it's just not me saying it. The Lord also says it in the Gita, again in the 18th chapter, very clearly says कि जो जिसका विश्वास नहीं, भक्त नहीं है, या तपस्या नहीं है, चाहता नहीं है, if they don't want it, don't, please, no need to. Because sooner or later the time comes when we stumble and hurt and struggle and get confused, like mighty warrior like Arjun, next to impossible. This guy would never be the one to be confused or afraid or anything like that. That the time came even in his life where he says, Karpanya dosha uparatasvava, I feel cowardly, I don't want to, I want to run away. I don't want to fight this war, I would rather this battle, I would rather beg and all that. And so all of us have experienced it, and if not, we will. Therefore, when the right time comes, Gita comes into our lives, essentially. So with that open mind, so that's sort of the context of what we had covered until the last time. Dushyant, you remember, right? 12वें अध्याय तक, है ना? So we'll take up from the 13th chapter, which was, this is just quickly going through the summary of it. I forget, शायद नहीं थी पिछली बार दुष्यंत भाई की Oh, you were there, right? Yeah, that's right. You remember? You had to leave early, I think, right? Yeah.
No, she was there.
Did she stay the whole time? Okay. 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 Age is showing. So the 13th chapter is Kshetra Kshetragya Vibhag Yoga. Kshetra is the field. This is the open field. And Kshetragya. Gya is the Gyan, right? Jnana. The observer, the one who knows that field. Everything that's here. And so right away you start seeing that this is not talking about God or Atma, Jivatma or Paramatma. It's talking about everything that's in front of you. Everything. Ye makan, dukan, loha, lakkar, ghoda, gadi, sab kuch. So Kshetra, and then the knower of the field. Kshetra, Kshetragya, Vibhag. Being able to discern. So this is a chapter that Adi Shankaracharya had held up, saying the knowledge in this chapter is the most useful. In a way, and he obviously is right. I'm nobody to validate or invalidate, but I would say that is one of the most helpful chapters. I'm not sure about the most helpful. It depends on how we receive it. So Kshetra Vibhag Yoga is Vibhag for a reason, like being able to discern that what is temporary, what is permanent, what will last, what will not last, what is real, what is not real, what appears to be, what is real, what is illusion, right? And so being able to see it with that framing in anyone we relate to or we deal with. And then in that he goes through various interpretations. It's a long chapter. It's not the longest, but it's quite long chapter because it goes through many iterations. We're not going to go through that because we spend months on it. And we have resources where we have all these reflections already saved in YouTube channel and website and Facebook and Instagram and all that. So feel free when you join the WhatsApp group, you automatically get information on that. But just as a memory refresher, that it is a pure, dry, just knowledge-infused chapter. I struggle to find rus in it, right? Except right in the middle of such a dry place, there is an oasis when he inserts bhakti in it. Literally the word bhakti. In describing, what are the kinds of qualities that sort of help you to process this properly. Acharya, upasanam, chaiva, maicha. इसमें एक ही जगह ऐसा कहा गया है, मयिचा अनन्य योगेन भक्तिर अव्यभिचारिणी. This is in Sanskrit. Vyabhichar is adulteration, contamination. इधर उधर मुंह डालना, जिसे कहते हैं ना, not having allegiance to one. So avyabhichar is not like that, which would mean like very, very loyal, single-mindedly, single-pointed. Mai is something that in me, to me. Cha is an avyabhicharena. Very loyally, very faithfully, very devotedly, strongly believing. Just because I don't see it does not mean that it does not exist. Just because I haven't yet experienced does not mean that it's all a hoax. Because maybe there's a path to it. Just because I haven't reached Falguni Ben's home halfway through doesn't mean that the path is wrong or that it doesn't exist. It does, right? If I stay at it, I reached. And so that's the idea behind avyabhicharani maicha ananya yogena. Anya is different, many. Ananya is not many. Therefore one. Ananya yogena. And yogena we talk about welded, connected. Yoga is uniting, being one with, never leaving. Maicha ananya yogena bhaktir avyabhicharani. So it's like from nowhere, this one half a verse appears in the 13th chapter in describing various attributes of those who have a chance, have a shot at understanding this whole sort of configuration of the system around us, essentially. Vivikta deshi lagavashi yatavakaya manasa. Then he says that Vivikta deshi is like those who like solitude. Those who are not naturally inclined to going lots of parties, lots of social gatherings, lots of dandiya, dindiya. Once a year is fine. Once a year is all right. We celebrate him anyway, right? And in dandiya and all that. But the sort of the mindset is, okay, where do we go next? What do we eat next? What should we wear next? And kal kya banana hai, parso kya banana hai, kiski party kya hai? not like the Vivikta Deshi. Actually, the opposite, that even in the middle of a public setting, where can I find my little corner? Where can I be quiet and think or observe and learn and grow and all of that? So the whole sort of orientation is that of solitude. That's Vivikta Deshi Laghu Ashi. So basically what we're doing, pulling one or two verses from each of the chapter and quickly walking along all the way to the 18th chapter today, because we've gone into every verse in great details prior to that. Laghu Ashi, Laghu is little, small. Asha, not having big hopes and big dreams. Contrary to the system, it's like, oh, you dream big, you have to have big vision, big dream. And you might achieve it, but then you'll also be stuck in in the middle portion, in the Prakriti. So Laghu Asha. You know that song that Madhi sings really well, Dil hai chota sa, choti si asha. Rosa movie mein. So managing, what is it like? Manage your energy, manage your vision, manage your aspirations, seek only that which is necessary. That'll get you through. Okay, we're not here. We'd be fools if you're here just to get a bigger house and a bigger house and a bigger house and then drop dead and who knows what happened. Mutti var raak, right? Oh, पानी बह गया, राख लटका दी बाहर, झाड़ को लटका देते कि अब ये इनका घर नहीं रहा, अंदर नहीं लाते, पता है ना 13वें दिन जिसका घर था, the guy worked so hard to get the house, वो अंदर तक नहीं लाते भैया, उसको बाहर झाड़ पे लटका देते मटके में डाल के उस दिन बाद में ले जाएंगे करके. So it's foolish to live only for that, and so therefore Laghu Asha, or lots of contacts. Which contacts comes in handy once the pran leaves? The only one perhaps. So before we leave that, we must contact him, though only one that is always connected. ऐसा नहीं है कि स्वर्ग में जाके घंटी बजा के बेल बजा के उठाना है जगाना है. So always connected, never disconnected. There is only one that we're always connected with. We're not, don't fool yourself, we're not really connected to anyone else. We have to make an effort for a while to connect with someone, no matter how close, how intimate. It says even with our own body, we cannot be fully always connected. We do have to disconnect the hair and the teeth, right? Like the thoughts, the knowledge, the information that we gather, the devices and the possession, everything we have to apart and disconnect with, up to the point of this whole body that until now I identified, I thought it's me. And well, if it's you, then why do you have to leave it? And so there is only one that is ever connected. And so the real point of human life is to identify that connection. That's where the Gita takes us. And so the 13th chapter, and it is very eye-opening, which is why I think Adi Shankaracharya said that, wow, this is very powerful, because it's just like, it's brutal in that sense, that it's like, presents it as it is. Yato vak kaya manas is the last part of that verse, which is like, vak kaya manas. Vak is vani, that's what I'm using right now. Kaya is the body, and manas is the mind, right? Manasa, vacha, karmana, head, heart, and just is aligned. Or the thoughts and the speech and the deeds aligning. But all of them are in control, regulated, moderated, in control, for which you must seek solitude and isolate yourself, and not always dhamma, not always be splashing and lots of public gatherings, and only then you'll have a chance to go within, go inward, which is where you'll find the connection. It's already there, the connection. Then you can come out. Once you're fully identified with the pran, then you can come out and like go wherever and do whatever. But then you'll never leave that. You'll never forget that. And that is the real security. That is called dharma, right? Like identify that. Swadharme nidhanam shreya paradharma bhayava. This appears in the Gita earlier on. That then you can die. Nidhan is death. Then it's fine to even leave the body. There's no fear in it. Until then, though, paradharma bhayava. Until then, while we're seeking validation from you, am I not good? Am I like, will you stay in touch with me? Will you come to my party? Will you invite me? Will you give gifts to each other? Will you give me thumbs up, likes, this, that? Paradharma, like living by others' standards, is bhayava, insecure. It only creates more and more insecurity. because it takes us away from the truth, from the reality that I'm actually very secure. And when I say I mean each of us. Actually, if you go inside, if you're able to go inside, it's the most secure place. There's nothing can shake you. No calamity, no insult, nothing, no one can shake you. That's how secure you are in this moment. If we could only figure out a way to go inside, then we don't seek any validation or any of that. And so there is a way to understand all this in the 13th chapter, which then obviously leads to the 14th chapter, which is Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. And so remember, this is the portion where it's describing the system, or how do you handle after you leave this hospital in the first analogy. And so it's like, watch out for this, because the question might be, why does this happen then? Why do I get drawn? Why do I get pulled? Why do I get angry? Why do I get upset? Where does greed come from? Why do I get jealous? And who makes me anxious if I am all good and all this and secure and all that? And it's well, there are three psychological forces of nature. And these are not the physical forces of nature. He's not talking about the gravity and the light and this, that. These are the psychological forces of it, jisko gun kehte hain. Now, we have all heard of it, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, sattva, rajo, tama. And generally categorized as the good, or the quiet, good, shanta, and the opposite of that, and then everything that's in between. It's all the glory of the number 3, right? Mm-hmm. Everything goes in trouble, also comes in 3, and all of that. So here too, 3 guna juka hai. So guna, traya is 3, again vibhag, categorized so we can process them, we can handle them. If the whole thing was thrown at you at once, it would be hard to figure, hard to realize. It's easier to fight one man than 3 at once, right? One at a time, or anything. If there's 3 things in your plate, you can't eat all 3 of them at once. You'll eat one at a time, for example. So guna traya vibhag yog. Now watch this. Kshetra kshetragya vibhag yog. Guna traya vibhag yog. From here we'll go to 15th will be Purushottam Yog. And in all 18th chapter the names end with yog. And that's a reminder that there's a reason, there's a purpose. Why we even bother to study the Gita. What's all this? What are we even trying to do? What's the purpose behind any of this? It's yog. Yogam yunjan madashraya. Previously he had described that it is reconnecting with our real identity. That it is disidentifying with who we think we are right now. I am a human, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, and I'm a father and a son and this, that. Disconnecting with those temporary, illusory, momentary, make-believe, very limited, very narrowly described identities, and plug it back into and re-identify with the full, glorious, my original identity. That yes, I am all that too, but the real me is so much more than that, connected to the whole and the complete. And so that reconnection is yoga. So hence, the name of each chapter is pointing us towards that right off the bat. Hey, this is why we're doing this. And even those end, each of the chapter ends with it also. Om Tat Sat Iti Srimad Bhagwad Gita Su Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastra. This is the science of yoga. It says Yoga Shastra. This is not, trust me, believe me, I'm telling you, just do it. It's not. It's the opposite. The Lord says in the 7th chapter, Artha Arthartha Jigyasa. You got to be curious. You have to inquire into it. Athato Brahma Jigyasa Meva. You must inquire, you must question, you must ask. You must test it for yourself. You have to experience for yourself. Just because my guru said, therefore did it, उससे नहीं होता ना काम. कहाँ होता है? उतने समय के लिए हो जाता है. फिर से बैटरी डिस्चार्ज हो जाती है ना. Yeah, we have to go back again. And so they say, no, you can experience this. Absolutely. And that's that reminder that it's a science. And again, I say that science is that which can be proven. Not just proven, but it's repeatedly proven. Again and again, Sanjibai, would you get the same result. That would have to be science. Not just that, but no matter who does it, if I repeat, I get that same result. But if you do it also, no matter who does it, when they do it, how they do it, if it's that, then only it is science. And this is called Yoga Shastra. And therefore, any Guru, any Mahatma, any Santalok scripture, they've just ultimately concluded to that yeah, this is right, this makes sense.
Just want
yes.
comment on when you say yoga,
Yes.
one and the same thing,
Yes.
but two meanings.
Yeah, two flavors, two sides of that's in it. Yes, absolutely, yes. And so indeed it is Atma Sakshatkar कहते हैं या परमात्मा साक्षात्कार है, like self-realization or God realization, right? We've heard of both. And this is a self-realized saint. ये साक्षात्कारी महापुरुष और ये भगवत पुरुष है. And so in the sense of like, so the spectrum of how far you're continuing to experience that. Have you stopped at experiencing that I am in all and all in me? Atma Sakshatkar would say. And this is the truth. That as an Atma, just like you all have heard, some of you have heard the example that if a wave in an ocean realizes that, well, I'm really not a wave, this is just a form. A wave flowing is just a form. And it's been given a name called a wave. लहर कह दिया इसको और बह रही है. वैसे वास्तविक में in reality I'm water. Yeah. And so in the form of water, I am in all the waves, every single wave. And every single wave is in me as the water. That's right. Or the dream character realizing, suppose, in the dream that, wait, it's the same power that's powering me, is powering the good character and the bad character and all of those. And therefore, in that sense, I am actually that and in everyone. And that would be Atma Sakshatkar or yoga with connecting with yourself, your real identity. And then beyond that water realizing, well, wait a minute, but there's this whole big mighty ocean. And it isn't just the waves. Waves is just the skin of the ocean. There is so much more water in the ocean, that infinitely more than the water in the waves themselves. Yes, yeah, the dream character realizing, oh my God, the dreamer, actually the one who is dreaming, he's got so much more than just what's in the dream. And so that's like the mega connecting with that also. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's the same. It's the continuing of the spectrum. It's a scalable experience for sure. And in the Bhakti Shastra, in fact, it's suggested that it's endless, not only scalable, but it is like asymptotic curve, that it actually never reaches the full final end. And they want that. The devotees don't want the experience of bhakti or love to stop at one point saying, okay, this was the greatest experience of love. Nothing more can be experienced. Then that's not acceptable to the real lovers. They want to continue to love the Lord and continue to experience more and more and more and more and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And so it's in how we process it, how we want it. There's some agency left to the devotee, to the seeker. Like, okay, how far do you want to go? There is autonomy, there is a agency also. And so in that sense, there is an equity built in in it as well, right? Like I said, I mean, these concepts were there thousands of years ago. The diversity, this morning's Gita reflection, I was sharing that diversity is, the beauty of creation. Creation would suck if there was no diversity. It would be the most boring. And so diversity, equity, inclusion, so much inclusion that there is only one. इससे ज़्यादा include नहीं कर सकते. That there is only one, Advaita Vedanta. How can you include anyone more than saying these are the same, one and the same? So the whole DEI, has always been there. So the 14th chapter then gets into the three guna, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. I will not bore you again with the descriptions of, you all remember, sattva is generally likened to the good, the quiet, the peaceful, the collaborative, the inclusive, the one who wants generally content, happy, sharing, all of those. So generally speaking, if you draw a line like, this whatever we get, achhe log hai, good people, good qualities. Obviously, it's a lot more than that in the chapter itself, in the 14th chapter. But generally speaking, that. And tamas is thoughtless, wasteful, begging, borrowing, stealing, very lazy, and therefore very violent, very discontented, because they just want to exert no effort and want to have everything. And so the effortlessly wanting to have everything, that's really the goal of self-realization. to be truthful, that I want to exert zero effort and I want to feel the greatest joy. Ultimately, that's the promise of self-realization, that आत्यंतिक दुख निवृत्ति, ऐसे उसका वर्णन किया है, और आत्यंतिक सुख प्राप्ति। इस मार्ग पे चलने से क्या मिलेगा? देयर विल बी नो दुख टू बी फाउंड। ढूंढ के जीवन में दुख नहीं मिलेगा कितना भी। And then the 6th chapter, one of our favorite shloks, Yam labdva cha param labham manyate na adhikam tata. Forgive me, I have to straighten my ankle. That there will be so much joy that you will not find greater joy than that. But tamas actually does not want to even think about it or do anything toward that, just the way I am. And therefore, they have to steal because I don't want to work hard. Or just pick up their weapon and just like cut the throat and all of that. And so there are reasons for that. And then those that are in between. One example that I had given when we talked through this is like that if this was an enclosed space, there is this the floor, there is this ceiling, and there are the walls. If this was glass, if this was all covered from glass, and you could be outside, you could be above, and you could see what's happening inside. And if I started a fan at the ground floor, that would blow the air upward. And then I also started a ceiling fan right above it, which would blow the air down. And then I put a Usha or Singer table fan. It's not going up or down, it's just blowing air meaninglessly, idhar se idhar. And then, so now ye dhamadham chalu ho gaya tino hawa. And then I take a feather or my hair or a piece of paper and then just I put in it bahar se. Like mercy on that piece. Kidhar se kidhar jayega wo. Kabhi bahar, kabhi upar, kabhi niche, kabhi if it gets caught in the air that's blowing up, it'll try to go up. And then suddenly gets caught by the force of the wind that's blowing from above, it'll get pushed down. And then suddenly gets snatched by the sideways blowing wind. ऐसे ये तीन गुण है. Sattvic is uplifting, lifting ourselves up. जैसे ध्यान के समय, today's ध्यान, we were just reminding ourselves of our sattvikta. They're lifting ourselves up through our own meditation, affirmatively. And so sattvic will lift us up and everyone along with us. And then tamasic will push us down and everyone with us down. Like, if I'm going down, if I can't be in the White House any longer, nobody will have the White House. Dang it. Or however, or whatever, right? Like, no political commentary, just an example. So, and I will bring others down with me, including my running mate and everyone. So, hang them. That's tamasic vyavahar. And then rajasic is like, neither here nor there, na ghar ka na ghat ka, जैसे कि neither here nor there. Just राजसिकता के प्रमुख लक्षण क्या बताए दे? More and different. Anywhere you spot the mindset saying, I want more, or I want different, then you know that there is right now this jivatma, the pure soul, has been caught into this table fan. इधर से उधर से इधर जाएगा अलग. And when you see someone like really acting meaninglessly, wastefully, thoughtlessly, irrational, irrelevant, this is really bad. Why are you doing this? This doesn't make sense. So understand that jivatma, sometimes our kids, teenagers in particular, it's just pure soul, just caught into tamasic gun unke around jo hai wo. And so they're just behaving erratically. And then others, when you say like, how can you be so quiet, so good? Like, how can you be so good to me, or this, that? Well, they're just in that, under that fan. And so, in truth, none of us ever born are good, bad, or in between. We're just pure. In purity, you cannot put this is good pure, this is bad pure, or this is mixed pure. Pure is pure. Shuddha sattva hai. Jivatma is born out of shuddha sattva. Not sattva. Sattva is conditional sattva. Pure source of it. Like the original one. And that's each of us here and those we hate also and love as well. Those we call our own and someone else's also. Each of us. If it is alive, machhar bhi, kida bhi, sab if it is alive, then it is pure, born in purity. The original content of it, the original substance in it, the composition, the makeup of it is pure. Purity, pure goodness, शुद्ध सत्व है. ये भूलें, कम से कम अपने बारे में भूलें नहीं. When we do self-disparaging thoughts, when we have, or when we just kick ourselves, when we have deep regret and remorse and feel guilty and I was so bad and I did this, that, maybe I got caught ignorantly, I got caught unbeknownst to me, I didn't pay attention, I wasn't aware of all these forces of nature and all that, I never knew who I was, I thought I was who they told me I was, that I'm a girl and this is my name and I'm pretty or I'm ugly or whatever, right? And I believed it and that's what I thought. Now I'm starting to realize that I'm actually none of those. That's just my body. That's just the car that I drove and left in the driveway. And I came inside. That's not me. है ना? So ये विचार करके अभी देखते you can start taking off. You can figure out the stream from these three, which one is lifting me up. And you can align with it. You can be on that side by choice. We have a choice. Will or no will. The paper that I was going to discuss with you. Separate conversation. We talk on the phone. Divine to your theory. Singular. So this is our Sanjeeva and my secret. So don't let anyone tell us. Don't let our mind tell us that there's nothing I can do. Of course, you're the boss of the mind. Third chapter ends with it. Karma Yoga ends with this last slok that, dude, you're the king, man. Like you got full control on your mind. Your mind is nothing. Your intellect is far superior to your mind. Just think. He's saying, just think and you'll realize. And by the way, you are superior to even your intellect. You can harness the power of the mind and the intellect and fully control and drive them in the direction you want to go, not be drawn by wherever it wants to go, right? So that's sort of where the 14th chapter summarizes a couple of really brilliant गुणत्रय विभाग योग में जो मैंने कई बार कहे हैं. Again, I get into those, maybe this will be the end of this reflection, so I'm really working hard to not get into Gunanaitan atitretin dehi deha samudbhavan janma mrityujara dukkhe vimukto amrutamushnate. Says that the one who is able to see through this knowledge, through meditation on it, through practice and through some faith, the one who develops the vision, the ability to see that, wait a minute, that's not actually a bad person. I don't know why I did this. I don't know why I insulted them. I don't understand why I stole it. I don't know why I did this, that, whatever, whoever is doing it. I'm normally not like that. I know better. There's something, I got caught into some winds somewhere. One who is able to start seeing it and sees that, no, these are the gunas playing in it. And unbeknownst to me, I got caught into it. I could have saved myself. I could have managed my energy, but I didn't even think of it. I just went with it. The one who is able to see that, perceive that, is able to gain control and then can clearly see that these are gunas playing. There's nothing wicked. There's nobody mean, and there's no saint, and this is gunas playing. One at any given time, one overpowers the two. Then the second one takes turn, and then that overpowers the other. ये सब गीता में, ये 14वें अध्याय में है. ये मेरी बातें नहीं है. ये उन श्लोकों में आता है. So, and that's where the chapter 14 ends with saying, if this becomes difficult, this feels difficult for you to understand. Okay, well, I don't know what this means. I don't know how to experience this. I don't know what to do with it. Then I'll let you in on a secret. Again, right in it, while describing, he says, well, if you're my devotee, through the path of devotion, you will still come to it. Through devotional path will lead you to that release, that liberation as well. The last two verses in the 14th chapter are very empowering, as I call them, because they give so much hope. They're very hope-giving, very encouraging, very empowering, and it feels like giving a crutch or a wheelchair to someone who cannot watch. It's like, okay, well, take this, start walking, and you'll start making progress. Because, he says, in the very last verse of this chapter, of the 14th chapter, anyway, I am the foundation of it all. Ye Brahma, Atma, Jeev, Prakriti, ye sab jo hai, it's all rests on me, Arjun, regardless. Ultimately, it's all in me, sourced in me, and I am watching it out. I'm empowering it, all of it. And so if you choose to come directly to me, skipping all these methods and means, then anyway, you'll have the same benefit, because you'll be in me. So I have always found that to be very empowering. I've benefited from it also, and has been my path, the path of love, not necessarily of knowledge or karma or yoga or this, that, not even a bhakti, the path of love. But these all lead to the path of love. And during the dhyan, I want to bring this up because we're getting to the 15th chapter. During today's dhyan, I was going to talk about, but my mind went someplace else, so we talked about something else. Narad Bhakti Sutra. So, very short, very beautiful, very powerful. Charpachi Adhyay, like very, very small scripture. And it's like considered the greatest for the devotional path. The highest. Narad Muni का जो भक्ति सूत्र है उसका, I think 10-15 मिनट में पढ़ के हो जाता है. संस्कृत में है, like no more than 15 minutes, literally. That's small, how small it is. But it's sutra, meaning formula. Like उसको लेकर you can solve any number of equations with a formula, है ना वैसे. So one of the places Naradji describes Yatha Vraj Gopikana, like it's not that Gopikas were not aware of his glory. It's not that they were illiterate. उनको कुछ पता नहीं था ये तो भगवान है, सच्चिदानंद है, ब्रह्म है, वो सब पता था. लेकिन they wanted intimate connection, intimacy with the Lord, and therefore these are like, yeah, whatever. We just want our Krishna. वो बाकी जिसको ब्रह्म रूप में मिलना है मिलने दे, वो like just and so he describes, but eventually then he says bhakti, bhakti, bhakti. He says different seers, different rishi munis have described bhakti in different ways. So he gives a few examples and ends with his own example, Narad Muni as well. So he says, for example, Parasharya, which means Vyasmuni, the one who is of Parashar. In Sanskrit, Parasharya is meaning his son, which Ved Vyas, has had this propensity, when his bhakti was more of the type of puja, archana, vandana, and so he believed and he taught his disciples. वो चारों वेद उन्होंने किया ना, वेद व्यास ने जो वेद किया, पूजा कैसी करनी है, अर्चना कैसी करनी, वंदना कैसी करनी है, all of that. It says on the other hand, so the Navadha Bhakti जो है, the 9 steps to Bhakti, these are, so this is the middle portion of that, अर्चना वंदना वगैरह जो है. On the other hand, Gargacharya, this is again from the Narad Bhakti Sutra, this is what Naradji is saying in it, is that Garga Muni, who gave Krishna the name Krishna, a big shot. He had the power and the authority. The Lord of Lords was taken to him in his lap. इसका नामकरण करो करके, है ना. गर्ग मुनि जो है वो वसुदेव के जो कुल गुरु थे, वसुदेव जी के वृष्णि वंश के, where he was born. Obviously he was a Brahma Rishi, he is a great seer, Trikal Gyani, all of that. And he said, when Yashoda took him to नामकरण इनका दोनों का करो, ये बच्चे बलराम और कृष्ण, वो इससे रहे, देख के बोला इसका तो नामकरण नहीं हो सकता, इसका नाम नहीं रख सकते. So we have to bring some flavor into this, right? Like, so this is the good part of the Gita Yoga. The rest is boring. You can leave it. इसका नामकरण कैसे करें? इसका नाम, इसको राम आया तो राम रख दिया, और कोई आया, वो वामन आया तो उसका रख दिया उपेंद्र, उपमन्यु. ये तो पूरा का पूरा भगवान आ गया है. This is like ब्रह्मेति परमात्मेति कृष्णस्तु भगवान स्वयमेति. And the Bhagavad is like, इसका तो ओरिजिनल नाम है, वही रखना पड़ेगा. इसका ओरिजिनल नाम कृष्ण है, तो इसलिए इसका नाम कृष्ण ही रखना पड़ेगा, है ना. इसको अलग ऐसा एक कला लेके नहीं, अन्य च अंश कला कृष्णस्तु भगवान. अन्य अवतार जो थे, various incarnations, kala, like dimensions and specific sides, they brought certain things with them, certain aspects of Godhood. They only played those limited roles, like Ram, even Ram as the full and complete God that he was, none other than Krishna himself, but played a very limited role, a very contained Maryada Purushottam Ram कहते हैं ना, like never crossed his limits. In fact, showed how high the standards are and can be.
Like he had human qualities.
And he displayed those. He took those on and displayed as role model, है ना. Also, and so in that, yes, he had human qualities, and so, but he was very pleasant, pleasing, and lived to please, and was able to please others, and that's the meaning behind Ram. लेकिन उनके सामने प्रश्न पड़ गया गर्ग मुनि के सामने, इसका नाम कैसे करें, इसका नाम नहीं रख सकते, इसका नाम जो है वही रखना पड़ेगा। तो इसका नाम कृष्ण ब्रह्म संहिता में मैंने कई बार कहता हूँ ना, ब्रह्मा जी ने 5वें अध्याय में कहते हैं कृष्णम वंदे गुणातीतम गोविंदम एकाक्षरम अव्यक्तम व्यक्तम, ही सर्व कारण कारण, इज द cause of all causes, is the original God, is the OG, in that sense the source of all sources. So इसलिए उन्होंने उसका नाम रख दिया कृष्ण करके। Anyway, coming back to Narad Bhakti Sutra, forgive my digressions, the liberties. गर्ग मुनि ने कहा था कि इसके श्रवण भक्ति, उनकी भक्ति कैसी, श्रवण कीर्तन कथा गुण गान। So those are the first 3-4 stages in the Navadha Bhakti. And Shravan says Shravati Shravanam Kirtanam. And then he says Shandilya Rishi. There's Narad Muni saying, who was interestingly Nanda Baba and Yashoda Mata's Guru. Gargacharya was Vasudev Devaki's Guru. उनके पास जब यशोदा माता, I know you remember well, it was one of our favorite episodes of Krishna and his life story. When Yashoda Mata was got like sick of like 6 दिन बाद पूतना आई, फिर आघास हो रहा है, धेनकास हो रहा है, ये असुर हर 6 दिन बाद कोई ना कोई मारने को आ जाता है इसको। Like what is this? Like उसके पीछे भूत पड़ गया, कहते she's like भूत पिशाच ने व्यापा है, ये मेरे बच्चे को पीछे पड़े सब करके। इसलिए वो नंद बाबा के पीछे पड़ते हैं, let's take him to our cool guru. He's like our guru is all powerful. He'll rid of सबको भूत को भगा देंगे, इसके बाद कोई नहीं आएगा इसके पीछे पड़ेगा। इसलिए वो नंद बाबा कहते नहीं यशोदा ऐसा नहीं है, वो just stay, नहीं जाना पड़ेगा। In the end the boss always wins. So Nanda Baba says, okay boss, let's go to our guru, and they take Krishna, little Krishna, to Shandilya Rishi, और उसके गोदी में रखते हैं। क्या क्या मैया है उसके, और दे शांडिल्य ऋषि लाइक इस गद की ओहो अपने से चल के आए मेरे आश्रम में, प्रभु अपने माँ को प्रेरणा करके खुद आ गए। ही वाज अ ग्रेट डिवोटी। शांडिल्य भक्ति शास्त्र बहुत फेमस है, उन्होंने जो लिखा है वो। सो वो यशोदा माता कहती है वो तो एक प्रार्थना लेकर के आई। क्या प्रार्थना है, क्या करना, इनके संस्कार करो बोलते हैं, इनको थोड़ा धुला विलाओ, इनको कुछ करो। किनको, इनको जो तुम्हारे गोदी में बैठे, क्या करें इनका, कुछ पूजा इनकी करो। ये जिस अनायास कहते थे इनकी कुछ पूजा करो। क्यों, ये सब जो आते हैं इनके पीछे पड़े वो जब भाग जाएंगे, लाइक दीज इवल सोल, द डीमन दैट आर नॉट लीविंग माई लिटिल चाइल्ड अलोन, आई वांट टू जस्ट गेट रिड ऑफ देम। और वो देखी कहती इनकी पूजा करें। शांडिल्य ऋषि नोज, एंड सो देन ही सेड हाँ चलो ये ठीक ही कहा, इनकी पूजा ही करते हैं करके, है ना। इट्स लाइक ऑफ कोर्स ही इज लाइक वर्शिप वर्दी। एंड देन ही डज द वेरी फेमस, वेरी पावरफुल, वेदों में आता है पुरुष सूक्त, सहस्राक्ष सहस्रपात सभूमिम विश्वतो वृत्वा अति अतिष्ठ दशांगुलम पुरुष एवेदम सर्वम यद्भूतम यच्च भव्यम उतामृतस्वश्येना येदानत अतिरोहति एतावानस्य महिमा अतो जायांच पुरुष पादवस्य भूतन। I can like recite the whole thing. It's just रोमांचकारी है, ना रोंगटे मैया इसकी पूजा तो करनी है तो सहस्त्राक्ष, हजारों इसकी आगे, हजारों हाथ हजारों पैर, ये तो इसकी महिमा वर्णन नहीं कर सकते कोई। वो गंगा जल से उस पर छिटकते जाते हैं और उसकी पूजा करते जाते हैं। इसके तो ब्राह्मणस्य मुख बाहुराजन्य कृता उरु तदस्य यद वैश्याम पदभ्याम शूद्रो अजायतः चंद्रमा मनसा जाता चक्षु सूर्यो अजायता मुखादिंद्रश्च अग्निश्च प्राणाद वायुरजायत। कहते कि ये सब वो फिर शांडिल्य ऋषि वेदों में आया पुरुष सूक्त, उसकी पूजा करते जाते, हंसते जाते, वो भी उनकी ओर देख रहा है, ये उनकी ओर देख के हंस रहे, जो एक दूसरे को जान के उसके कि ये इसके मुख में ब्राह्मण है, इसकी बाहुबल में क्षत्रिय है, इसके उदर में वैश्य है, और सारा संसार जिसके चरण में वहाँ शूद्र है। तो शूद्रों को हमारे चातुर्वर्ण में नीचा नहीं कहा है। Like this is a very very misunderstood system of ब्राह्मण क्षत्रिय शूद्र, ब्राह्मण क्षत्रिय वैश्य शूद्र। क्योंकि तो अपने जो भी प्रोफेशन के अनुसार है, द एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर क्लास है, बाहुबल है, क्षत्रिय एज द हेड, द थिंकर्स को ब्राह्मण कहाँ है, और जो ट्रेड्समैन है और कीपिंग द सोसाइटी अलाइव उनको वैश्य का है। और जहाँ पर अंत में सब को ज़रूरत पड़ती है, द क्राफ्ट्समैन एंड दोज हु the plumbers and the HVAC techs and all that, उसके बिना सब बंद पड़ जाएगा, ना। सो जिस अंत में सब उसके चरणों में जो आता है वो शुद्ध है करके। इसके मन इतना सौम्य, चंद्रमा इसका मन है, इसके नेत्र इतने तेजस्वी, सूर्य इसके नेत्र है, मुख से अग्नि निकल रहा है, ऐसा इतना भव्य दिव्य वर्णन आता है। सो शांडिल्य ऋषि उसकी पूजा कर दे जाते, बोलता ले जाओ अब इसकी होगी पूजा। एंड देन यशोदा इज पैसिफाइड सेइंग ओके अब कोई भूत नहीं आएगा करके। सो दीज आर ब्यूटीफुल स्टोरीज ऑफ माय कृष्णा। इसलिए आई लेट गो ऑफ दीज, ये सब भक्ति मार्ग प्रेम मार्ग में चले, किस उसमें द रस इन इट इट ड्रैग्स, बाल पकड़ के ज्ञानवान को जख मार के सब आ जाता है उसके पीछे। बट द रस या द जॉय, द ब्यूटी, द ब्लिस दैट इज इन इट, नॉट टू बी हैड एनी प्लेस एल्स ना। सो Shandilya Rishi said, Bhakti is that in which you don't have to compromise your identity with the Lord, Atmarati. So, I know that we're here to discuss the Gita, but this is sort of aligned with it. So, even if you finish this section today and start the 18th chapter next, इसलिए 10 साल लगे हमको यहाँ तक आने के लिए। इनमें से कोई इतने दयालु लोग हैं, they're just so merciful and kind, and वो रोकते नहीं हैं। नहीं जीतू भाई इधर तो गीता करने बैठे थे, भक्ति शास्त्र को। So, but one thing I assure you that this is not disconnected or misaligned with the Gita. Yeah, it is definitely aligned with what's in the Gita, and it's all about him anyway. So, शांडिल्य ऋषि ने वो कहा, गर्ग ने वो कहा, और किसी ने व्यास जी ने वो कहा। नारद जी कहते हैं, नारद भक्ति चरण, नारदस्तु तद अर्पिते अखिल आचार्यता तद विस्मरणे परम व्याकुलता। He says for me, Narad ji says, which is considered as the greatest, who is considered as the greatest devotee, and his method of devotion is considered as the greatest way to be devoted. Naradastastu, he says, but I say that tad arpite, tadarpite akhil is one of the names of Krishna also, akhilam nikhilam, madhuradipate. Akhil means everything, all of it. Anything that we do, acharita, acharan is like whatever behavior. However I'm behaving, I'm upset with someone, I'm mad at someone, I'm angry at someone, or I'm loving someone. Whatever acharan, or I'm doing good deeds or bad deeds, or I'm working, I'm cooking, I'm going to work, looking at someone flicking the middle finger to me in traffic in the middle, whatever, anything that I do, akhil acharita tad arpite. I hari arpanam, usko uske bahane uske naam se kar raha hu. This is for you, my Lord. I do this for you. I'm angry at you, not my son. Or I am thinking, I'm having these thoughts about you, not him. So bar uska vichar julai. That's one side of the coin of bhakti, as according to Narad. Tad arpite, that giving into, offering to, akhila, all of it, acharita, whatever I do, however I behave, I am going to make sure that I offer it to him. I always bring him in. And Naradji's character was like that. And then the second side of that coin is that tad vismarane, or when I become forgetful of him, when I forget my Lord, when I suddenly get wrapped up in myself, or in my family, or in my possessions, or in my party, or in my work, and sort of disconnected, not even in the backdrop, anywhere to be found God, parama vyakulata. And when I realize that, I become parama vyakul. Vyakul is yearning, longing, absolutely feeling horrible. Fish out of water is vyakul. कैसे तड़पड़ते देखा होगा, है ना? फिशरमैन का लग रहा है लकड़ी पे डाल देते थे. Oh God, I mean, it's just flipping and flapping out of water. उसको व्याकुल कहते, परम व्याकुलता. This is the highest degree of that. Narad ji कहते, how could I have forgotten him? What happened? What was so important in my life? Who was this person so important that I actually forgot him? ऐसे परम व्याकुलता. So Narad Muni कहते, for me that is bhakti. ना? So tadarpite akhila acharita and tad vismarane param vyakulta. And then he ends that scripture later on. This was just the second chapter. There's 5, I think. And it's like prema karyam, premaiva karyam. For a devotee, there is only one chore, one task, one mission, one purpose, one thing to accomplish in life. Prema karyam. Prema eva karyam. It has another knot on it. Prema alone, love alone, pure love alone. There's nothing else to be done in the human form for a devotee heart. So, with that setting, sort of the 15th chapter, which is Purushottam Yoga, which is arguably the most popular one in the entire Gita. Like everybody says 15th chapter, probably because it's also the smallest. 20 उसमें श्लोक आते हैं, जल्दी जल्दी याद हो जाएंगे इसमें. और पंडित जी हमेशा कहते रहते हैं मंदिरों में, वो वास्तुशास्त्र में भी 15 अध्याय, कोई मर जाता है उस मुर्दे के सामने भी 15 अध्याय कह देते हैं सब. So, but it is also good, and it's also very powerful, and so also very illuminating. Purush Uttam Yoga. Purush is the indweller, not necessarily a man. This is Manusha, the human, the indweller. Udtam, the highest, the most superior. Ud, the gang knows here, Ud is upar. Sanskrit mein Ud batti laga hai na. Uddishta. And Tam is the highest, like highest standing Purush, the indweller or the man. Uske साथ connecting योग. Again आ गया फिर से पुरुषोत्तम योग. So this is again the portion where he talks a little bit about himself, this system, all of us as well. Very beautiful, very powerful. One of the more complicated adhyayas also. Some people generally gloss over. We've gone through this. People say श्लोक कह के निकल जाते आगे क्योंकि ज़्यादा दिमाग में जल्दी से फिट नहीं होता. And it feels like okay, होगा, important होगा, पंडित जी कह रहे हैं तो निकल जाते. But it's also very uncovering. It's releasing as well. Ashwattha moolam suviruda moolam asanga shastrena dridena chitva. This starts with the visual of a banyan tree or peepal tree upside down. He says the sansar is the system around us is like an upside tree. The roots are above and the branches and the leaves are downward. ऐसा कभी झाड़ नहीं दिखता कोई लटका हुआ. And he says it's an illusion, this संसार. ऐसा झाड़ दिखता है. If you go near a pond, अभी गणपति बापा पानी में सिरोनी को जाएंगे तो उधर like the pond near us, there are trees surrounding the pond. Look at the trees in the pond, the reflection of the trees. They look upside down. And so therefore the trees that you see in the lake and in the pond are not the real trees. The real tree someplace else. This is just a reflection. It's an illusion. And they do look upside down, actually, if you look in the water. And so in that sense, as using that as an example, he says, this is just an illusion. What's around you is an illusion. Not real, momentarily. Maya, jaise kehte. Hai bhi, nahi bhi. Sort of the dream. You cannot say that it wasn't there, it doesn't exist. But you cannot say that it is either. Us samay tha, lekin nahi bhi tha. For the waking ones, essay. So that's the 15th chapter starts off with that. Urdhvamulam adashakam ashvatta prahuravayam chandansi yasya pranani yastvam ved saved. Then he describes when you are asanga shastrena dridena chitva, the only way to get rid of this illusion is to just detach from it. Asanga, not associate with it. Not बार-बार जाके इसमें धमाधम उसको. Don't throw yourself in this. ये तमाशा जो है around us. Don't constantly don't mess with it. In other words, अपनी भाषा में कहे तो ये तो है ही, बस just disregard it, walk past it, हाथ जोड़ के प्रभु करके चलने दो जिसको जो. Just don't mess with it. If you mess with it, you're going to get caught up in it. The 14th chapter already has warned us. हवा में पकड़ा जाएगा, ऊपर फेंका जाएगा, नीचे, like you just be tossed and turned before you realize you'll forget who you are, and you feel like, oh my God, इतना injustice हो रहा है, people are bad, there's something everywhere, there is bad, wrong happening. Nothing is happening. It's an illusion that's around you. It says, and therefore, if you want to keep yourself good and pure, feel free to jump in at any point. By the way,
it made me.
Guys, only Sanjeev Desai can think like this. You're absolutely right. Except he put it on his head. His param vyakulta, if there is vismaran, right? when I become forgetful of him, only then I am param vyakul. Narada is not saying that I am vyakul otherwise, but like I become vyakul and I embrace that vyakul. I rather be vyakul so that I don't ever want to experience that again. Like a fish would never want to be out of the water again. And so I'll tell myself that, oh man, like that was horrible. I don't want to be without him. I don't want to forget him. So param vyakulta. So you're right that he chose the path, except he applied it to the Lord, not to sansar. So yeah, does that make sense? Madhu, were you trying to say something?
No, I was just thinking
Beautiful.
It's next to the divine.
Very beautiful. So it's similar to, Madhu, I'm so glad you brought this up, similar to how Gargacharya said that I can't name him. This kid, it's not a kid. He's the full one, and therefore he only has one name that I'm going to. I mean, he has obviously thousands of names, like in the original one. So yeah, and that in that sense, any feeling, any sentiment, any thought applied to him are purified automatically because it's the source of purity. And hence he says that akhila acharata tadarpita. Like whatever I do, it just automatically becomes purified. You know, one of that Vedic mantra that we sometimes say, apavitro pavitro va sarvavasthangato va. ये पूजा करते पंडित जी इसके परे करते यस्मरित पुंडरीकाक्षम सबाय अंतरशुचि. I may be pure, I may be impure, inside, outside, maybe I took a shower, maybe I didn't take a shower. The point is not that don't take a shower or this, that. Whatever, however, I don't know if everyone here is pure or not, whatever. Someone eats non-vegetarian, someone, however, whatever it is. I, though, remember you, Pundarikaksha. Pundarik is Kamal, Aksha is Rakhi, Kamal jaisi badi aankhon wala Krishna. Everything instantly purifies. Yas marit Pundarikaksham sabaya antar shuchi, like purities. Swachh ho gaya. Aisa na? So, ultimately, everything burns in the fire. The good and the bad and the ugly, everything burns in the fire. It's like that. So, and so that's kind of the 15th chapter. Na tad bhasayate suryo, na shashanko na pavaka, yad gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. So it's like, when you will experience me, you will be as if at that place where there is no need for sun or electricity or moon or anything like that. It's self-luminous. In fact, the sun gets its light from there. Sun says Prakash against sun ko kisne diya? Prakash, like who programmed, who created this system? A hydrogen burn hoga, helium mein convert hoga, in the process energy release karega, and it will be in the form of heat and light. Who devised it? Kyon? Why? And so he said, like, that's that place where all that original design jahan par hota hai, and therefore there is no need for any of those. And then later on he says that Mama eva ansho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. In fact, each of you actually belongs to me in my place with me. Mama eva, mine alone. You're all my children. Every jivatma is mine, even the baddest one. And इसलिए कंस को भी मुक्ति मिली, रावण को भी मुक्ति मिली, सबको मुक्ति मिली. Jiva loke sanatan, from original sanatana. So फिर प्रॉब्लम क्या हुआ अभी? why am I not experiencing it? Mana shashthani indriyani prakritisthani karshadi. Your mind, you're sort of the agent in between. You agent लोग गड़बड़ करते हैं ना. Commission 80-90% थोड़ा बीच में अनुभव हो रहा है भगवान का, थोड़ा अपना 90% एजेंट ले गया बीच में. यह मन रूपी जो है, मन षष्ठानि इंद्रियाणि, इंद्रियों को लेकर के शब्द स्पर्श रूप रस गंध इसमें फंसा के, आँखों से देखना है, नाक से सूंघना है, कान से सुनना है ना, इसके साथ लाइक हाईजैक्ड आकर्षित, like essentially you've been hijacked. Your original understanding has been hijacked into it. अपहरण कर लिया है. इसलिए, and so therefore with practice through yoga, bring it back and you will start experiencing it again. And then in the end, like today we ended in the morning session, the 15th chapter, in the end says, like you've heard of two, this is the only place that I've come across in any scripture that I've read, and even in the Gita, this is the only place where it says there's three, not one, not two. अभी तक तो सुन रहा द्वैत और अद्वैत है ना, द्वैत है अद्वैत है, जो जन्म उसी में निकल गया, झगड़ते रहो. Centuries have gone banging heads like bulls and rams की नहीं द्वैत है, नहीं अद्वैत है, नहीं द्वैत है, नहीं अद्वैत है. ये ग्वाला कहाँ का आ गया, कभी स्कूल में पढ़ा नहीं, कुछ नहीं, अंगूठा छाप कह रहा है तेरा 3 है कर गए। क्या हो गया, द्वाविमौ पुरुषो लोके क्षरश्चाक्षर एव च क्षर सर्वाणि भूतानि कूटस्थो अक्षर उच्यते. This is like the 3rd or 4th shlok from the end of the 15th chapter. So yeah, you've heard of 2, द्वाविमौ पुरुषो लोके. क्षर है, अक्षर है, the perishable and the imperishable. ये जो संसार है और वो ब्रह्म जो है. उत्तम तो पुरुषस्तु अन्य. वो कहते हैं इसके बाद वाले श्लोक में इनसे बड़ा और ऊपर जो है वो कोई और ही है. जो ये पुरुषोत्तम योग है उसको वो किसी को पता नहीं है. कहते हैं उत्तमस्तु, टू इज बट संस्कृत में, पुरुषस्तु अन्य, अन्य डिफरेंट येट, परमात्मेति उदारता. So it's like I am that. He claims that. इसलिए पुरुषोत्तम योग. Now remember, this is for believers. Not everyone has to believe this. There is no insistence. यहाँ आग्रह नहीं है भगवान का, ये मानना ही पड़ेगा, यकीन करो, समझना ही पड़ेगा. मानता है तो है, नहीं मानता तो नहीं है. इतनी सिंपल बात है गीता में. If you believe it, it is true. If you don't believe it, it isn't. Like take your pick, move on करके ना.
I mean, it is true, but you don't have to believe it, right?
Okay. A modified version. Yeah, sure. I do. I do. So she's my wife, guys. Yeah, okay. तो like क्या कहाँ का गीता है हो गया. So और मांग के लाई हुई है वो भी. So in the end he says that I am the final one, I am the permanent one, and the one who experiences me as such, who knows me as such, leaves everything and just is devoted to me, worships me, falls in love with me, ultimately falls in love with me. अगर भगवान में प्रेम हो गया, कृष्ण प्रेम, भगवत प्रेम, ईश्वर प्रेम, कार्य रहे ना शेष, है ना. So then that's where this journey ends, because then you identified, है ना. प्रेम का सर्वोच्च लक्षण होता है ना, look, we want to be one with the one we love, है ना. Like any form of love, any form, मतलब माँ बच्चे को प्यार करती है, बार बार उठा लेती है. क्यों, थोड़ा सा रो लिया तो उठा लिया. I want to be one, like I don't want to part, नहीं छोड़े नहीं, है ना. पति पत्नी का प्रेम हो, मित्र का प्रेम, जब मिल जाते एक दूसरे को, friends when they meet, they hug so tightly, physically चाहते हैं. I can't get any closer to you than that. हग करके, I don't know how to get closer to you. I want to be इतना close, I want to become one with you. तो कहते ये प्रेम का लक्षण होता है ना. किसी भी रिश्ते में प्रेम का लक्षण होता है, we want to become one, not remain two. Because somewhere the thirst and the hunger is that, gosh, like one, that together is the best for us. And he says, when this realization dawns that Krishna, I am that, then that devotee, and hence the conviction is it intuitively that it's the Purushottam. 16th chapter will wrap pretty closely, and then we can actually wrap the session today, and we'll start the 18th next time. Let's see who comes back. Otherwise, it will be the 3 of us. So, this 16th chapter is the Daiva Asur Sampatti Vibhag Yog. Long mouthful name. Daiva and Asur. Asur. उनकी संपत्ति, उनके attributes, उनके features, उनके qualities, क्या जो विभाजन है, again the delineation of the good and the bad. We've gone through this. Sur is generally speaking the good ones, and therefore the Asur are the other kind. Kashyap Rishi original, the first, not Adam, but Kashyap Rishi, उनकी 2 पत्नियां थी, दिति और अदिति. दिति के पुत्र जो 100 पुत्र कहे जाते थे, उनको दिति के जो 100 दैत्य कुल में जन्मा कहते हैं. इनसे चली उनकी जो रावण कंस जो भी हो गए. आदिति के जो पुत्र थे, नाम सुना होगा आदिति, वो आदित्य, वो 12 थे उसके. सूर्य का एक नाम है ना, सन सूर्याय नमः, कहते एक आदित्याय नमः. The self-luminous ones, the ones who live for giving. Aditya is the sun never sends a bill, never says इनको इतना देते, इनको इतना देते. वो अपनी मस्ती में, प्रकाश में है, जिसको जितना चाहिए ले ले, है ना. So 12 के 12 का ऐसा स्वभाव होता है आदित्य के, कि they live for giving. Okay, and they're filled with their own glory, and they live to give. और दैत्यों का उल्टा होता है, they live for taking. Even though they have as much, same father, same right on the property of their father, equally endowed, equally given, equal access to the opulence of goodness. But they still want some more. I want more. I want more. And therefore they fight. Like, I want more than you. And so we need to identify in ourselves, अपनी propensity में, कोर्ट कचेरी ये और लेकिन कहीं पर भी, am I the giving? Is my setting in giving or is my setting in receiving? So right now, and each day, every person can be Daitya or Aditya. And so because ultimately the Father is the same. And so he says that these are the attributes of those and these are that of those. And then he says, Arjun, don't worry though, because you're born with the good attributes. We remember that in the chapter he says, hey, don't freak out. He says, like, you are born with the right attributes and therefore you are on this side of the line that's been drawn between dharma and adharma. You're fighting the war for goodness. And therefore I'm asking you to fight. You have to stay here. You cannot run away because you're endowed with it. This is your nature. He later on says that if you don't fight now, you'll run away. You'll come back and fight still. But then it will be wrongly timed and incongruous. And therefore that will be injustice. Why are you fighting now? Why are you killing people now? Then there's no reason to. This is the time to protect integrity, to protect dharma. And so he reminds him through that. Otherwise, you'll be considered, categorized as the other kind. That apne swarth ke liye, because I don't want to lose this is my grandfather and this is my guru, and I don't want them to die, therefore you don't want to do that, then that will be the taker kind, not the giver kind. Even though you are born with this, and what you are born with is what will propel you in the end. You cannot fight the force of nature. Momentum car, जब ये fast चलती 60, 70, 80 miles per hour, no matter how hard you brake, for a while it's going to go in that direction. Momentum से. ऐसे you're born with good attributes, you're endowed with, and therefore you're going to come and fight, but the timing will be wrong. Don't miss time, it'll be misfiring. And that's what it goes through. The interesting part about this two things, the way it starts and the way it ends about the 16th chapter, it starts in the most empowering way that the Gita has ever been. It starts with the word Adhyay. Abhayam sattva sanshuddhir jnana yoga vyavastita. It says, like, like this knowledge, this understanding will set you free. You'll feel so fearless. Right now we're fearful of something, one or that, fearful of some person, fearful of not getting the promotion or the raise, or fearful of the Republican or the Democrats, or fearful of this, that, fearful of something, or machar, chua, jo bhi, fearful. It's like this will set in fearlessness. Come what may. Abhayam, sattva, and goodness, sanshuddhi, purity, right? Clarity, jnana, yoga, you'll feel connected. You'll start understanding things. Vyavastita, properly. Vyavastita is like situated, established, grounded. With lucid clarity, you'll start to understand by following this, and then describe several other attributes like that, and then says, you are born with those. Why are you running away from this? That's wrong. That does not befit you. And then he says, otherwise, you'll be in this category. In the rest of the chapter, 95% of that 16th chapter is describing the attributes of asur. उसमें अहंकार फैलाता है, हम अहंकार मैं हूँ, मैंने ऐसा किया, मैंने वैसा किया, हम लोग कर लेंगे, अपनी पार्टी, अपना धर्म, अपनी गुरु. It takes so many different forms. God, ego. It goes all the way to my God, my ishta, my Bhagwan, मेरा मंत्र, हमारा कलर, हमारा झंडा, हम लोग सब mine, like just huge world. Because mine, and the moment you said mine, you cut it in half, ripped it already, because you limited it. है ना? The truth को पहले ही आधा कर दिया. मैं मेरा कह दिया तो आधा कर दिया, मेरा कह दिया तो आधे का आधा कर दिया, मैं और मेरा में तो 1/4 बाकी रह गया, 3/4 तो छोड़ दिया. So इसके बाद then just like दयनीय अवस्था, pitiful way to live the rest of the life. So no, there's no मैं and mine. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So in the 17th chapter, so 16th chapter starts to describe the distinction. 17 takes it like with more refined clarity, fine-tuned lens, Shraddha Traya Vibhag Yoga, the three kinds of faiths. And because Arjuna asks a question, Arjuna asks many questions, Arjuna asks 20 questions in the Gita. Krishna asks 10 questions. This is a Q&A. of the highest kind. And it's a very conversational dialogue. In the beginning of the 17th chapter also, he asks you like, so those who have faith, Shraddha jinki, are they good? Are they all right? And he said, well, even faith is of three different kinds. Just because they believe does not mean they're the best or they're the good. Yeah, they could be fanatics. Dharam ke naam pe gardan kaatne lage, right? And that's not right. Just because mera hi dharam barabar hai, baki sabko maar dalo. So he says, yeah, believing is a good start, but just believing doesn't make it right either. There's three kinds of beliefs. And then Vishay nikla hi hai, teen, so then he describes on many other aspects, food of three kinds, dhan, the giving of three kinds, all that. We've gone through all of those. That's where the 17th chapter ends. And then, the way it ends is he says that, ye shastra mein sab described hai, ye shastra medhi sarvatram. All this is already prescribed rightly in our scriptures. This is in the Gita. And that you should really act according to those. Follow. Those are guardrails created. There's a path paved for us. Walk on that and you'll automatically be led on the right path. You'll not fall as much. Therefore, you will not hurt as much if you follow the scriptures. And then you'll be ushered into freedom eventually. That's where the 17th chapter ends. Which means that's where the 18th chapter begins, which did not start today either. I don't know what you're doing. 3 baar ho gaya. And then the name of the 18th chapter is Naam to le lete, Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. That ultimate release, like I said, finally ushering you into freedom. Sannyas, moksha is mukti, unencumbered life, beautiful life, first class life, bindas life, in all circumstances, with all people, no matter what, no matter when, no matter where, no matter how, nothing but lovely. That kind of life is moksha. That alone can be mukti, freedom. जैसे मैंने ध्यान के समय कहा, judgment free, caste free, expectation free, obligation free, you are just free. that can be real free.
It would be a beautiful life.
Beautiful life. And many of us are now starting to walk on that and experience that. And so, but he said that can be had through sannyas. You got to be able to let go. Sannyas, leave it, drop it. Often I say, ये प्लग ने मेरे को पकड़ा है कि मैंने प्लग को पकड़ा है? मैंने प्लग को पकड़ा है, मैंने छोड़ा तो छूट गया. And ऐसे ही दुख, चिंता, ये सब जो है, they haven't bound us, karma bandhan. We are holding on to those. The moment I leave it, it's gone. They don't have their own power. Karma को जड़ कहा है शास्त्र में. Meaning it just sits where you put it. जड़ जैसे ना. You have to carry it. So ये चिंता, ग्लानि, व्यथा, घृणा, क्रोध, we have to harbor and carry it with us. If I say छोड़ दिया तो छूट गया, देखो पड़ा इधर ही पड़ा ऐसे कैसा. तो इसलिए that is the moksha sannyas yoga. In the end, in which he says, इस सारा झंझट तेरे से नहीं बनता होगा. सर्वधर्मान परित्यज, इसको भी छोड़, परित्यज. माम एकम शरणम व्रज. Come to me, sit with me, be with me, be mine, make me yours. I'll just, तेरा काम वैसे ही हो जाएगा, है ना? So, and in the very last verse, 700th verse, 700 shloka Gita में, Sanjay, who started the Gita, also ends the Gita. Yatra yogeshwaro Krishna, yatra partho dhanurdhara, tatra Shri Vijayo bhuti dhruvani tirmatir mama. Oh man, he said, Raja, and they look like, there's no way you guys are going to win. Either Krishna or Arjuna, but no one can win here. Because why? Yato dharma tato Krishna, yato Krishna tato jaya. इसको नहीं कोई हरा सकता. धर्म, इसके देखे हुए धर्म नहीं हर सकता. इसने प्रतिज्ञा ली है. So let me stop there. Otherwise, we will start going backwards. And then 699, 698, 697. I look forward to the next one, wherever it is, whenever it is. And now I invite you all for the next, however long, to share your reflections on it. Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.